The Italian secret, the truth about Villa Clara. Listen closely. Can you hear that hissing sound? Is it just the wind slipping through the cracks of old walls? Or perhaps, is it something else? There is a place not far from here, where history and legend merge into a tale that freezes the blood. A tale that has fueled our deepest fears for generations. A place that has become an icon of the unknown. This is the starting point of our journey. A journey into mystery, amidst dusty documents and nightly whispers, in search of a truth hidden for centuries. Prepare yourselves, because what we are about to discover might change the way you look at ghost stories forever. In northern Italy, in Bologna, Via di Corticella, leaving behind the city lights and the chaos of modernity, the fog of the lowlands begins to swallow the fields. Here, in Trebo di Regno, stands a residence that has fueled the nightmares of entire generations. A structure that seems to watch passers-by with glassy eyes. They call it Villa Clara. Everyone knows the story. A little girl, a cruel father, a brick wall, and a scream that echoes on full moon nights. They say lights turn on by themselves in empty rooms, that the cries of a small victim still seek a way out of an eternal prison. It has become a favorite destination for ghost hunters, the curious, and lovers of the occult. But what if I told you that Clara was never a child? And what if the real mystery wasn't hidden behind a brick wall, but between the lines of dusty notary archives and in the shadows of a power that answers to no one? Tonight, we dig beyond the legend. We will separate truth from fiction, discovering that reality can be much more disturbing than a ghost story. For decades, anyone crossing this gate has done so with a shiver down their spine, convinced they were walking on the ground of a 17th century crime. The legend everyone repeats tells of a maiden walled up alive by her father. Why? Versions differ, as often happens with orally transmitted myths. Some speak of a 19th century stepdaughter, caught having an affair with a servant. To punish the stained honor, the nobleman allegedly condemned her to a white death, sealed alive in a room. Others, more recently, speak of a girl from the early 1900s, gifted with clairvoyant powers. It is said she foresaw the future and that her father, terrified she was possessed by the devil, walled her up alive to save her soul. But let's look at the structure with different eyes. Villa Clara, once known as Villa Malvasia, is a jewel of the Baroque. Inside, frescoes by masters Colonna and Carracci stare into the void. Above the fireplace stands the coat of arms of Pope Gregory XIII, testifying to a history rooted in the 1500s. This is not a hovel of suffering, but a palace of Bolognese power. How is it possible that a place of such splendor became the symbol of death and confinement? The first major glitch in the legend lies in the name itself. If the tragedy occurred in the 1600s, under the Malvasia family, or in the 1800s, why is the villa called Clara? Why does this name appear in no ancient document? Cadastral research at the Pontifical Historical Archives of Bologna reveals a truth that dismantles years of superstition. The villa wasn't always called that. Until the beginning of the last century, it was known as Villa Malvasia, or later, Villa Bonora. The name Clara appears for the first time only in 1928. It is not the name of a victim, but that of a flesh and blood woman, Mrs. Clara Mazzetti, widow Barzaghi. She was the one who bought the property that year. She was a real owner, an upper-class woman, who lived in these rooms in an absolutely ordinary way. Here is the first temporal short circuit. Pop culture took the name of the last famous owner and pasted it, like a wrong label, onto a Gothic tale centuries old. We created a modern ghost using the name of a lady from the 1930s, creating a historical confusion that fueled the myth of little Clara. If Clara Mazzetti was just the owner, then who is the walled-up woman? Is there really a secret room? The definitive answer seemed destined to arrive between 2006 and 2011. In those years, the villa underwent heavy structural restoration. Roofs redone, floors consolidated, walls scraped down to the bare brick. Workers and architects combed every inch. In such a powerful legend, finding a skeleton or a hollow cavity would have been an epical discovery. The result of the official works was absolute silence. No human remains. No hidden room that wasn't already present in historical floor plans. But then, where do the testimonies of those who swear they heard screams come from? Experts attribute it all to the wind. The villa has crenellated walls and peculiar cracks. When the air currents of the plane hit the structure, the building sings. It produces a high-pitched whistle that our mind, conditioned by horror stories, immediately translates into the crying of a child. But is that really all? Just wind and wrong documents? Here we enter territory where rationality wavers. We have no documents certifying a murder at Villa Clara, true. But we must ask ourselves, who wrote the documents at the time? Villa Clara has been linked for centuries to the Vatican, and families like the Malvasia, pillars of Pontifical Bologna. We know from ancient and recent history that ecclesiastical power has often been the guardian of very tight secrets. Think of modern cases like disappearances wrapped in silence, protected by thick walls, and a bureaucracy that knows how to make people vanish. If an aristocratic family linked to the Holy See wanted to hide a shame, a daughter born out of wedlock, a girl with mental disorders, or someone considered possessed, would they ever have registered her at the registry office? In an era when noble and religious power were one and the same, making a person disappear was tragically simple. A child never baptized, never censused, kept segregated from birth within these walls, would have been a bureaucratic ghost even before dying. Documents are not needed to certify a death if the life was never declared. Even if restorations found no bones, this doesn't mean that suffering didn't exist. She could have been buried in the garden, or moved centuries ago, or simply consumed by time in a part of the house that still hides its secrets today. The absence of evidence in such an absolute system of power is never evidence of absence. So, what remains of Villa Clara? An inconsistency remains. We debunk the historical inaccuracies of the child Clara Mazzetti, walled up in the 1600s. The names are wrong, the dates don't add up. But the legend persists with a force that cannot be explained by a breath of wind alone. Why was this story born right here, among thousands of Bolognese villas? Perhaps because pain, even if not recorded in a notary act, leaves a mark. Perhaps the Clara we look for is not a specific person, but the symbol of all the women and children who over the centuries were silenced by the power of families too big to be judged. Today, Villa Clara is a private property under recovery. Mystery tourists continue to look at those windows hoping to catch a reflection. Science gives us answers. History gives us others. but the feeling of unease one feels in front of that gate remains intact. The real mystery of Villa Clara is not what was walled inside, but what we, still today, project onto those old walls. The name is an error. The bricks are silent, but the scream continues to live in our imagination. If you want to continue discovering the truth where others see only legends, subscribe to the channel. This is AXIOMIA, and our investigation has just begun.